obviously the batting has been a concern over some time now. What do you think needs to be done so that we're seeing the middle order produce runs?
I think it's quite obvious in terms of we need to score hundreds up top. Hasn't been there for a while now. I think the lower order has saved us a few times in a few games, but I think it's quite evident that the batters have to step up now and get a couple of big scores.
Have you done anything different in preparation?
Not really. I think it's all mental. That I don't think we've struggled to get in. It's getting starts and getting out that's the problem for us right now.
Neil?
Keegan, can you give us an idea of what you did the week after Manchester? There was a talk about getting away from the game. Did you pick up a bat at all, or have a nap, or did you play golf?
No, thankfully not. We didn't touch a bat. Had a couple of days off. Got to have time to ourselves just to kind of reflect and see how we're going to go and just time away from the game.
Keegan, with both teams now, when they've run into trouble, England at Lords and yourselves in Manchester, it has been a case of the batting failing quite badly. Is that a conditions thing, or is it a mental thing, or a bit of both?
I'd say in both test matches was kind of lost in the first innings when it comes to batting. It's quite evident that the conditions are a bit leaning towards the bowlers in that advantage. But I feel if you can play that first innings better, I think that's going to be the team that comes out on top.
You obviously have to make a change with Rassie out, and I know you're not maybe privy to that, but can you tell us about the guys that may come in and what they might offer? How have you seen Ryan or Kaya batting in domestic cricket, or recently how they're looking to you?
Yeah, look, we've got plenty of depth in the squad. Everyone in the squad is back the same way as the guys that are playing. So whoever comes in for us, we all believe can do the job.
Yes, sir.
Can you just tell us a little bit about your time at Durham and how that helped you prepare for this summer and this series, and what you learned from that experience playing up there?
To be honest, I struggled a bit in the beginning at Durham to get used to the conditions. It's a different wicket at Durham, I'd say, compared to the rest of the grounds I played at. I struggled a bit there, but as time went on, I found my feet a bit better, and if I could have stayed longer, I would have loved to, because just as soon as I hit my stride, I had to leave and go back home. But eventually, it got better.
And obviously you got to share a dressing room with Ben Stokes as a teammate. What was that like? Did you learn anything about him as a leader, as he is now captain in England, or as a player?
No, he's a great guy, really. He's a good guy to have in the change room. I mean, both on the field and off. He's a good human being. You can't fault him for that. So, I mean, I was a bit starstruck in the beginning, really. I'm only new to international cricket, to walk into a change room with one of the best all-rounders in the world, and yeah, it was just nice.
Is that part of the attraction of coming to the UK, to be able to share a dressing room with someone like that over a sustained period of time?
Yeah, you learn quite a bit from them. I mean, these guys have been playing international cricket for a long time. You can only learn.
Can I go Melinda, and then you say afterwards?
Just wondering, we've seen two short tests that where the momentum has swung wildly from one way to the other. Do you think this might be a little bit different because it's a decider and the whole series is on the line?
I hope it pans out a bit different. I'd love to play for 5 days once. I think that's what the public wants to see. But I must say, this is what we live for as cricketers. Series deciders, it's going to be thrilling. There's a lot on the line for both teams, so I think you're going to see a good game.
I guess to the next Future Tours program, you mostly have 2 test series, with only a couple of 3 test series in there. So I just wonder how, personally for you, does that make it bigger, the fact that you've got a chance of making the World Test Championship final, and this is a decider that you don't often get that narrative over 3 tests in future series?
We, as a team, as a squad, we try and focus on the immediate future, which is the game coming up. We don't really want to think as far as the World Test Championship final and all of that. I mean, if you get a bit ahead of yourself, you could find yourself wanting at some stage, but the focus is for the next test match.
I just wonder, to what extent does that defeat at Old Trafford hit the confidence? You mentioned about it, the nature of how quickly it turned around.
It hurt, really. It did hurt the team to get beat like that after having beat them in the same way in the first test at Lords. So I know there's a lot at stake for the next game, and hopefully we can turn it around and have a good game.
And are your batsmen playing for places, do you feel? Is the pressure off?
I don't think we want to think that way. I mean, as an individual, you're probably going to feel that way, but I don't believe there's pressure from up top that's going to make us feel any pressure in that way.
Okay, can I just give an opportunity for the media online, if I can hand over to my colleague Lucy?
Thanks, Volvo. Yeah, so we've got a couple of lined up. We'll start with Amir, then Mark, and then Stu.
Thank you and good afternoon thank you for the opportunity. Excuse me if this question hasn't already been asked by Keegan. If you could just tell us, obviously the result at Old Trafford, Manchester didn't go our way, but did you take any confidence from the way you specifically batted, especially in that second innings where you spent quite a lot of time at the crease?
For sure. I haven't spent a lot of time before that at the crease, and I take any positive I can from that innings, even though it was not as fluent as I would have loved it to be. But I tried to fight as hard as I can for the team.
Thanks, Mark.
Hi, can I just ask you, Keegan, to explain a little bit more about the mental process? You mentioned that right at the beginning of the presser that it's a bit of a mental thing. What's the process for you then? You go away and chant a few mantras, or eat a cheese sandwich, or what do you do to sort of mentally get yourself tuned for?
I don't think there's any situation that can prepare you completely for it. I mean, it's just the situation in the middle that you're going to have to prepare for, knowing it's going to be tough. And at least trying to fight through that tough period, and that's where you're going to have to challenge yourself mentally all the time. There's no real process of doing it, it's just in the moment it's going to happen.
Thanks, Stu, and then we'll look to wrap up with Jabulani.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Keegan. Just as far as you are concerned personally, you've gotten quite a few double figure scores in your test career. Short test career. What's it going to take for you to make the step to changing those starts into something more substantial?
To be honest, if I knew that question, I wouldn't have this problem, the answer to that question. But I know I've got myself in, and that's not been the problem. It's really when I get myself in and getting past that to kick on, that's been the problem. I'm still trying to figure it out, really. But trust me, I'm not trying to get out when I get to those double figure scores. I'm trying to get the triple figures, and hopefully it will come for me soon.
Thanks, Stu. Jabulani.
Lucy, we're not going to need anything this side. Just check if he's unmuted.
Thanks. Jabulani, we'll give you one more go to see if you can access the device. No, we're not receiving anything from our side, B.
Okay, is that everyone?
Yeah, from the online, that concludes the online component. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Lucy. If I can just turn back to Telford, and maybe 1, 2 others and stuff, if I didn't see any hands, if there's any takers.
Keegan, the series seems to have been, looking from the outside, played in a very good spirit. That hasn't always been the case in England. In 2012, the other KB was always Andrew Strauss disparaging things and really changed the mood. We've seen you guys have come through a very aggressive series against India. This one doesn't seem to be played in that kind of mood. Is it as nice as it looks from the outside? Even though we're going to decide, is there much needle on there?
No, there hasn't really been any situations where we had altercations between guys. I think it's been played in good spirit. We'll have to see this week what happens, but thankfully it's been played in good spirit.
Any other takers? I'm looking for fresh hands, but if this isn't, then I'll go to you, sir, and then followed by you.
Just from your experience, obviously England made a change to the bowling attack, Trafford bringing
Yeah, Matthew Potts is a brilliant bowler, both of them really are. Ollie did pose a threat in those conditions. I think he bowled really well, and you can't hide from that. I think both of them are brilliant and both deserve to play, so we'll have to see what they decide.
And no Johnny Bairstow after a freak golf injury. To what extent do you think that weakens them? Does that help you guys?
I don't know. I wouldn't say weakens them. I think someone that can play and that deserves to play is in a company spot, but you can't deny that Johnny is a big player for them, and hopefully he recovers well enough. But we don't really thrive on that. I think if Harry Brook would come in, he'd be equally as good, but we'll see how it goes.
In experience, though, you could potentially target that?
No, we haven't really chatted about it. It's just take it as it comes.
Yes, sir.
Left field, there was some suggestion that you're actually named after Keegan Petersen, the old England football player manager. Is there any truth in that or not?
To be honest, my family doesn't even watch football, so I can't say that that's true. Sorry, no.